let's go for another delegate and understand what is the use of another type of delegate. So I have something called as let me take another example. Another example is going to be anonymous method. Now anonymous method is also a kind of it also categorized under delegates. And how we can use anonymous method is basically, let's say I have one class, one method. I'll just delete this all entries over here. So I'll delete, I'll just delete all entries, and I'll create one method here, public static. Oh, I don't need to delete all those entries actually. Oh, come on. Yeah, that's okay. So instead I can do, I can just delete this subtract and multiplication method, and now as my method is static, I have a delegate over here which is matches with my method add. So now instead of all these things, what I can do for anonymous method, I can call the test delegate here, test delegate t equals to new test delegate. And no, I don't need to. So this is the way you can, you actually are calling the simplest way, or you can say the generally you are calling in this way. The delegates you can call in this way, right? Instead of that, now there is one different way to use anonymous. For the sake of anonymous method, we are using this delegate in a different manner. So I have test delegate t, the instance of that delegate, and I will say delegate keyword. I'll call the delegate keyword, and then I will use the angular braces, and then I'll say this one. Now here what it needs doesn't take any argument. Basically it needs argument, right? Because our add method have two arguments, integer a, integer b. So I will pass integer a and I will pass integer b. Now what it needs this thing, it needs an implementation. What type of implementation? I need an implementation where this integer a and integer b resides. Where it resides? It resides in add method. So I'll copy the method body of my add method here. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it over here. And now I will delete this. So what you can see, anonymous method is basically whose method body is there but there is no method name. And exactly you can see over here, there is no method body, just the no method name, just the method body. Okay, and that's why it is known as anonymous method. And to use anonymous method, it is basically you can use directly the delegate keyword. Inside this you need to pass the parameter. If your method here, the method was there, so if I do the control Z, you can see if your method is having parameters, then you need to pass the parameters. If your method doesn't have any parameters, then this is going to be without parameters. So let me just comment my method, and yes, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, now now you need to basically you need to run this. And how exactly you can run this is just by control F5, and you will see basically it is not giving me any value. Why? Yeah, so I haven't passed any parameters. Yeah, so t, and I need to pass the parameters. Let's take another example of anonymous method. So instead of this add method, I have another method. So I'll say public static string show method, which needs string, and I'll pass name. This method will be returning the name. Okay, so I need to call this show method with the help of delegate. So I need to create one delegate here, public delegate. See here, now I need to match the syntax, right? So I will this show method having a return type as string, so I need to create my delegate as string return type. I'll say str delegate for my string delegate, string show method. and then I'll pass the parameters. What is the parameter? String name. So I'll say string name, right? Okay, so now in the main method, what I'm gonna do, I'll call my delegate. So str delegate st equals to, now for the anonymous method, you don't have to go for str delegate st equals to new str delegate. That is not going to work. So in anonymous method, you have to call the keyword delegate, pass the parameter. What type of parameter? You are having your method as show. Inside that, whatever the parameter is here, you need to call this here string name, and then the implementation. So what is the implementation in the show method? Return name. I'll copy this and I'll put this inside my delegate, and now I can delete this method. Instead of deleting, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just commenting it out. Okay, so now if I want to print this, so I can call st and I'll say what it needs. It needs a string name, so I will pass John, and then I can say cwd console.writeline. I can print this thing inside console.writeline. Okay, and you can see the output will be, first one is 50, addition is 50, and then the name is John. You see here, yeah, so addition is 50 and the name is John, you can see over here, right? Okay, so now how this program is working is something like, for the anonymous method, what is exactly happening? It is, you are having one method name show, have the return type string, and have the parameter string name, right? So for this show method, I need to create the delegate. So I had created this public delegate string str delegate string name, which matches the syntax of my show method. See here, right? The same thing. Now for the anonymous method, what I need to do, I need to call my delegate. So I've called here str delegate. I create the instance of that, and then instead of doing new str delegate, I'm calling the keyword delegate, and inside that I need to pass the parameters. I need to pass the parameters whosoever method is there. From where the method is exactly coming, it's coming from the declaration of delegate. See here, it's coming from here, as you have created str delegate. Inside that, this str delegate matches the syntax. It matches with the help of, it matches with this method, show method, and that's why I can pass my parameters over here, string name. And then I will copy the implementation of my show method. This is the implementation, so I'll copy it and paste it in this region, okay, and then I just print my name here. I can delete this, and then I can delete this program. I don't need it. So anonymous method is basically the method which is having only the method body and not having any method name, and you can see there is no method name, you cannot see, right? Instead, also in fact there is no method name here, right? Only method body is here, so you can actually run this without any problem, right? And that's the anonymous method. So it is said that it is not useful when there is a big project and there are so many lines of code. You cannot put all those lines here in this region. That's not feasible. It is used for a very shorthand project. Then you can use anonymous method, otherwise it is not recommendable. Okay, so this is anonymous method, and we had seen simple delegates, and then we had seen multicast delegates, and then we had seen anonymous method. We also seen that real-time a kind of example in .NET framework itself, where exactly the delegates is working. We had seen thread start is a kind of delegate. We had seen parameterized thread start is also kind of delegate. So that's all about delegate. Even all the events whatever the events are there in the GUI, in the Windows form or any website applications, whatever the GUI you are creating, the event handler is basically also kind of delegate. So you know, so these are the some of the good examples, you know, of delegates. I hope you understand it. Thank you so much for this session.